Somewhere, an electric chair is waiting.
Recomember?
Hello and welcome to Recomember. This is going to be a series of short little video blogs, vlogs, whatever you want to call them these days, where I'm going to be looking at comparisons between the early Laurel Hardy silent films to the talking pictures they did later. And I'll be looking at the scenes that they either reworked certain scenes or could be the entire film, which in this case is where I'm going to start with the films Duck Soup and Another Fine Mess. Now before we crack on, I just want to say I'm not looking at these films in great detail or anything like that. I'm just looking at the scenes that we can say a bit like deja vu really. I always recommend watching the films in full. Obviously not just now because we're not doing that, but if you haven't already, get yourself one of these, the Al Roach collection. All the classics are on that. Now then, so Duck Soup and Another Fine Mess. Both of these films were based on an original play called Home from the Honeymoon, written by Stan's father Arthur Jefferson in 1906. The story is about two burglars who break into Colonel Pepper's house, where they later pose as the Colonel and his maid. Stan Laurel himself toured the play from August 1908 in Newcastle. By 1927, Laurel and Hardy were working for Al Roach in Culver City, Los Angeles. Not only was Stan a star in front of the camera with Oliver Hardy, he also worked as a gagman for Al Roach. Laurel and Hardy were first credited together in the 1927 film Duck Soup, which was their second film at Roach Studios. Duck Soup was an adapted version of the story taken from Home from the Honeymoon. And when the talking pictures came along, Stan reworked the story and the gags all over again in the film Another Fine Mess, which I think is where we get the misquote. A lot of people say Another Fine Mess when it's actually Another Nice Mess. And Ollie even says that in Another Fine Mess.
Well, there's another nice mess you've gotten me into.
Another Fine Mess was a free reel comedy this time, as opposed to Duck Soup's two reels. Out of the two films of Duck Soup and Another Fine Mess, I would say Another Fine Mess is the most recognised. And there are many similarities with Another Fine Mess, but also there's quite a few differences as well. Colonel Pepper became Colonel Blood, played by James Marcus in Duck Soup. Then Colonel Wilberforce Buckshot was played by James Finlayson in Another Fine Mess. Lord and Lady Tobodden, played by William Austin and Madeline Hurlock, became Lord and Lady Plumtree, played by Charles K. Gerard and the lovely Thelma Todd.
This must be the place.
Perfectly ripping.
Hives was Stan's character name in Duck Soup, whereas he just posed as Ives the butler in Another Fine Mess. In Duck Soup though, it was Ollie posing as the butler. Now just going back to the beginning of Duck Soup, when we first see Laurel and Hardy, they're sitting on a park bench. This early scene was reworked in 1932 in the feature film Pack Up Your Troubles. The difference in the newspaper headline allows for two completely different storylines. As the boys do a runner in this scene, Duck Soup continues with a chase scene, which became the end sequence of Another Fine Mess. At the Colonel's mansion, these scenes are almost shot for shot, as we see Laurel and Hardy arrive and witness the real maid and butler leave the house.
Is this the home of Colonel Wilberforce Buckshot?
Yes, sir.
Again, as the Lord and Lady enter the house, even more scenes are very reminiscent, and you can see the reworking of the comedy in Another Fine Mess.
Colonel Buckshot at your service.
I am Lord Leopold Plumtree.
Delighted.
My wife.
Charmed.
Now this next scene is very familiar. It's a popular scene regarding a billiard room.
Oh, you have a billiard room.
Oh, sure. Come. Oh, what did I do with that billiard room?
That's quite all right, old fellow. I never play anyway.
There's a notable difference in this next scene. As Agnes sits on the couch and chats to Lady to Botham in Duck Soup, the scene is very brief compared to the very much ad-lib scene with Thelma Todd as Lady Plumtree in Another Fine Mess.
Agnes, wouldn't you like to stay on with us?
Eh?
Oh, now, don't disappoint me. Say that you will.
So we should like to take possession immediately.
With the Colonel's permission.
Both films move on almost identical now, but again, the comedy in Another Fine Mess improves due to the option of sound.
Call me a cab.
You're a cab.
On the telephone.
Both films see the untimely return of the Colonel, and again with some more deja vu type scenarios. Even his reason for returning is exactly the same.
Just a minute. I forgot to pack my bow and arrow. Thank you. You wish to see Colonel Buckshot?
And yet again, with all these scenes, even more familiarity.
Why, who are you? Do you wish to see Colonel Buckshot? He's in there. And who do you think I am? I haven't the slightest idea. Get out of my house. Get... Oh, don't say the king! Help! 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 What's the matter?
Duck Soup ends with the boys getting caught by the firefighting recruiters, where they cause more mayhem. Another Fine Mess ends after that earlier bicycle scene we saw. So there we go then, Duck Soup and Another Fine Mess, with a hint of Pack Up Your Troubles. Next time we'll remember scenes from Slipping Wives, The Fixer-Uppers, Wrong Again, From Soup to Nuts and A Chump at Oxford. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye!